everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Hannah Witton, and sometimes here I talk about my chronic illness, ulcerative colitis, and about my surgeries last year and how I now live with a stoma. And you may have seen from the title, my life isn't better with a stoma. And before we get into the hows and the whys, I just wanted to make a few disclaimers, some disclaimers about that perhaps provocative title. When it comes to having a stoma, everybody's story is different. And I also want to iterate the fact that everyone's reaction, like emotional, mental reaction to their experiences, is also going to be different. Even if two people's experiences are really similar, how they deal with those could be completely the opposite. I personally have found so much amazing help and support and comfort from the online ostomy community. Seriously, it has helped me so much. Hearing other people's stories, being able to talk to people online, going through similar things, like not feeling like I'm alone, especially seeing young women with stomas, that has been so valuable to me in this process. But there is one part of my experience that I haven't really seen reflected anywhere. And actually, most of the stories that I hear, it's like the opposite of what I'm experiencing. So I wanted to make this video because I need to know that I'm not alone in this. Because it genuinely does feel like that sometimes. Like I'm not normal in how I'm responding to these events that other people have also gone through. And I also just want to make a point of showing the variety of experiences that there are with having a stoma, with IBD, and chronic illness. There is no straight path that takes you from symptoms to diagnosis to treatment to then maybe surgery to then recovery. Like it isn't following in someone else's footsteps that has gone before you. It is entirely yours. That being said, I have found it really useful hearing from people who've had their stoma for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is, and seeing how they're getting on like that far down the line. That to me is really useful. But obviously the journeys to get there and the mental health impact and things like that can be so varied. So. The thing that I can't relate to. I hear this being said a lot by people with stomas about their own experiences, and then I've also kind of had it said to me in a way that people are projecting that experience onto me and assuming that is how I feel, which can make me really uncomfortable and feel a bit weird because I don't know how to tell them that they're wrong. It's complicated. And that experience that I can't relate to is my life is so much better now with a stoma than it was before. Or your life must be so much better now than before you had your surgery. And no, my life was actually better before, which feels really weird to say out loud publicly. So the reason why a lot of people say that their life is better with a stoma is because their IBD, inflammatory bowel disease, whether that's Crohn's or colitis, before the surgery was so bad. It was a daily struggle. It was affecting their day-to-day life. It was having a really negative impact on them just actually living their life with the abdominal pain, going to the toilet multiple times a day, chronic fatigue, and many, many other symptoms. All of these things was actually just having a debilitating effect on their life. And so they elect to have surgery, and having the stoma, they feel like, this is what I've heard people saying online, is that it gives them their life back. They suddenly feel like they can actually live their life because they don't have this debilitating chronic illness anymore. But IBD affects everyone differently. That's affects, not infects, because IBD is not contagious. And my ulcerative colitis wasn't like that at all. My UC would affect me in flare-ups. So it wasn't like this daily thing that I had to deal with and I had to be careful about my diet and things like that. I would be totally fine. I would be healthy for a couple years or so, and then I would get symptoms, and those symptoms would last for maybe a couple months. I may or may not have to have a hospital stay depending on how severe they were. Most of the time I would say they were like moderate to severe flare-ups, but eventually the medication would kick in and I would go back into remission for another couple of years. Before my most recent flare-up, the one which resulted in me now having a stoma, I had been in remission for 10 years. 10 beautiful long years between the age of 15 and 25 where I had no symptoms whatsoever. And I truly felt like a healthy person. Yes, I had to take medication every day. Yes, regular hospital appointments and colonoscopies and things like that. But like my day-to-day life and living and standard of living and all of that, healthy. I was a healthy, chipper person. So when I think, was my life better before having a stoma? I'm like, yes, because I consider that 10-year remission as my life before my stoma. Yes, having a stoma is obviously better to how ill I was in the weeks, months before I had my surgery. That was horrendous. Never again. No thank you. And obviously so much better than being dead. That wouldn't be great. So when people say to me, oh, your life must be so much better now, I kind of politely say like, yeah, it's so much better than being ill. But in my head, I'm like, no. My life was better before. And then I start to feel guilty. Don't know why. I get this guilt about not being grateful for my stoma, about not being grateful for my health or my life and things like that, because by like wishing it away and thinking that my life was better before, it's like I'm wishing I didn't have the stoma, and so wishing like the whole thing had never happened, but it did happen and it saved my life. Yeah, sometimes I feel guilty that I'm not fully acknowledging that. I don't know. Even though, like I said, most of the stories that I've seen online from people with stomas is about electing to have this surgery and then it drastically improving their life. Because that's the thing. A lot of people, you can elect to have stoma surgery if your condition is just too much and you can't control it anymore. You can elect to have your surgery, which means that you pick a day. You get to pick a day and then you lead up to that day. And it means you can kind of emotionally and mentally prepare for that. And also if you elect, you've got a higher chance of being able to have keyhole surgery, whereas with an emergency surgery, I had to have open surgery. So my abdomen just got sliced open, and recovering from that, obviously so much harder. At least physically. But there are loads of other people who, like me, getting a stoma was an emergency situation. It was an emergency surgery, and it wasn't something that they could prepare for or knew was going to happen. I've heard a couple stories like on the grapevine, but not from anyone who's actually experienced it, of going into surgery for the surgeons to do like a small procedure or just like have a look around or something, and then they've woken up and they have a stoma. But that like wasn't what they were prepared to come out of that surgery with. And I'm like, wow, how are they coping? Hope they're doing okay. There is lots of stories out there of chronically ill, unhealthy people getting stoma. Amazing, feeling great. But I don't hear many of the like generally healthy people suddenly having a stoma and then like how are they dealing with that? Because for 10 years of my life I felt like a healthy person. What is a healthy person? Can you identify as healthy? I mean, right now I identify as unhealthy, ostomate, disabled person, I don't know, chronically ill and all of that. What I'm trying to say is that it's complicated. There is a lot of extra stuff that I have to deal with and think about and consider and manage with the stoma. A lot of extra medical supplies that I need on me all the time. But I feel like I've adjusted pretty well to this new life. Overall, I'm fine. I feel good. I'm doing great. Peachy. I feel like I really know that my health is more important than a big scar on my tummy and a bag of poo. My health is so much more important than what is on my exterior here. You can't see. But if I was given the choice to be healthy without a stoma or healthy with a stoma, I would choose healthy without a stoma, obviously. However, as someone with a chronic illness, healthy isn't a thing. Like, it's not even achievable. And so I feel like I have to, I guess, adjust my thinking of that 10-year remission. I think of myself as a healthy person during that 10 years, but I wasn't. And so I need to start thinking of it like that. Like, I still had ulcerative colitis. And even if I didn't get super ill and have surgery last year, maybe it would have been 5 years from now, maybe 10 years from now. And one of the things that me and my parents actually talked about when I was in hospital, and we were like, holy shit, this is really bad. Am I going to have surgery or not? One of the things that we thought about, if we didn't have surgery and waited it out, and maybe the medication worked, maybe it didn't, but if it had worked and I got healthy again, or I got put into remission, who knows when my next flare-up would be? Because UC, goddamn, is very unpredictable. Hence the 10-year remission, and then like, haha, we're gonna punch you in the gut with life-threatening flare-up. But yeah, I was genuinely thinking having surgery right now is maybe my best option, because then at least I don't have to worry about future flare-ups. So in some ways, yes, maybe having a stoma is better because it removes the unpredictability of the disease. Like I said, it's complicated. It's complicated. I would love to hear your thoughts on all of this in the comments. If you're someone with a chronic illness, a stoma, another disability, how do you deal with the guilt of maybe not feeling grateful for certain treatments or surgery that improved your condition and things like that? How do you grapple with this? And also, how do you deal with the like healthy, unhealthy, not healthy shenanigans? Like, if your condition is something that you can go into remission for, do you still consider yourself to have a chronic illness? Or like, you know, if you, like me, have had like a 10-year remission or even longer, do you still feel ill? Or are you just like, oh, I'm a healthy person now, and then bam! I'm not saying that's going to happen to you, obviously. I do not wish that upon you. Absolutely not. But it happened to me, which is why I wanted to make this video about how my life isn't better with a stoma. But in some ways it isn't. Have I said that it's complicated enough? Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.